3.5. Is 3.5 less than, greater than, or equal to a negative 3? Less than, greater than, or equal to? It is greater than, that's right. Anytime you have an equivalency problem where one number is positive, one's negative, there's nothing to think about. The negative one is less than. So it points to the negative, mouth open to the higher one. Negative 2 and 1.5. Is negative 2 less than, greater than, or equal to? Less than is right. What about negative 1 and negative 2.9? Is negative 1 less than, greater than, or equal to? It is greater than, that's right. Sometimes you have to simplify both sides before you can make a comparison. What is negative 8 times 5? You can use calculators today. Negative 40 is right. And what is negative 15 plus a negative 25? Negative 40. So what sign goes in? Equals. What is negative 15 plus 4? It's not 19. Not negative 19. Negative 11. What did I say you could use today? Calculators. What is 6 times 0 times a negative 3? 0, right. So is negative 11 less than, greater than, or equal to? 0. It is less than, that's right. The lowest number that 4 and 6 will both divide into can be found by doing this. Start with 4 and keep adding 4 to it. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Do the same thing for 6. 6, 12, 18, 24. What's the lowest number they both have in common? Therefore, 12 is your least common denominator. That is how you find it in case you're uncertain. If you just want a common denominator and not necessarily the least, what could you do with 4 and 6? Could you add them together, divide them, multiply them, or subtract them? Yeah, you would multiply them together. That's right. If you want the least common, write out the multiples. If you just want a denominator so you can compare two fractions, you can multiply them together. What is the least common denominator between 3 and 8? What's the lowest number they go into? Yeah. How many? 16? Yeah. Will 3 go into 16 evenly? So 24 is right. Yes. 12 and 6. What's the lowest number that 12 and 6 will divide into evenly? 12. It should be 12. They will go into 24, but 24 is not the lowest. 8 and 6. What's the lowest number 8 and 6 will go into evenly? 24. That's the lowest one they'll both go into evenly. What about 3 and 5? 15 is right. These are not things you should have to do twice. If you know the common denominator between 3 and 5 is 15, it never changes. So it's kind of like a matching game. Once you see that, it's not going to change again. When you see it again another place, you'll know 3 and 5 should be 15. 8 and 4, what's the lowest number that 8 and 4 will both go into? 8. They both go into 16, but it won't be the lowest. 3 and 7. 21. 12 and 16. What's the lowest number they both go into? 12, 24, 36. Will 16 go into 36? 48, 60. What about 16? 16, 32, 48, yeah. 48 is the right one. 9 and 6. What's the lowest number that 9 and 6 will both go into? 18 is right. 11 and 5. 55, yeah. 12 and 18. 36 is right, yes. 9 and 12. 36 is right. 3 and 8, we did this before. 24, yes. 10 and 12. 60 is right. 8 and 10. 40, right. Whoops, I wrote 80, but I said 40. It should be 40. Okay, so now that takes us to comparing two fractions. Write less than, greater than, or equal to in the blank to make a true sentence. Just the same as with integers. If one is negative and the other one is positive, there's really nothing to calculate. Which number up here is the lowest one? Negative 3/4, right. So the sign would point to the negative 3/4. That's an easy one. But now in this case, we have 7/10 and 3/5. What is the least common denominator between 10 and 5? 10 is right. What do I multiply 10 by to get 10? 1. So 7 times 1 is what? 7. What do I multiply 5 by to get 10? 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Now compare these two fractions with the top numbers. Which one is greater? 7. So the mouth is going to open that way. 7/10 is greater than 3/5. 1/5 and 1/9 on your little piece of paper. First of all, here's a whole sheet of paper. Fold it. Fold it again. Fold it down the middle that way. There's 8 pieces of paper you could have from one sheet, and they'll all be the same size. Don't bring up any half sheets of paper up here. But on your little square of paper, like this, write your name at the top so I'll know the direction of the paper, so that when you put your, if it's an inequality sign, you won't be able to flip it around and say it's the other way. For this problem, you need to have a common denominator of 45. 5 times 9. So 1 times 9 is 9. Over here we're multiplying by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 9 is greater than 5, so 1/5 is greater than 1/9. The common denominator is 12. I am multiplying 4 by 3 to get 12, so 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12, and 2 times 4
Williams, please report to the office.
Is 8. So, 9 is greater than 8, so it's greater than. If you're comparing two fractions, and one of them is proper, such as the top number is less than the bottom, and the other one is improper, the top number is greater than the bottom. This one is over 1. This is like 1 and 3/5. This one is less than 1, so that one must be greater. The sign is less than. We want to write these fractions in order from least to greatest. To do that, we need to have a common denominator all the way through. It is not necessary to have the least common denominator. So you don't have to find all the multiples of 3, 2, and 5 and then try to circle these. In fact, you don't even have to do that on the other stuff that we did. The easiest way to find a common denominator among three numbers is to just multiply them all together. What is 3 times 2 times 5? 30, yeah. 3 times 2 times 5 is 30. What is 30 divided by 3? 10. So I multiply 2 by 10 to get 20. What is 30 divided by 2? 15. What's 15 times 1? And then what's 30 divided by 5? 6. What's 6 times 4? 24. Okay, so least to greatest. What is the lowest number of these numerators? And it pertains to the 1/2. So that's the lowest. What's the next highest numerator down here? 20, and it pertains to the 2/3. Of course, you just have one left, so 4/5.